In the middle of the Pacific Ocean sits a nation that once held the highest per capita income on the planet, only to see its entire landscape strip mined for phosphate. Today, there are no shopping malls, no cinemas, and only a single paved road that circles the island in less than 20 minutes. For the 10,000 people who call this 8-square-mile coral outcrop home, the reality of life is defined by a landscape that is still recovering from a total industrial collapse. So what is life actually like for the people who live here? It is a study in resilience and extreme isolation. Living on Nauru is a unique experience in the modern age. When you are situated hundreds of miles from the nearest neighbor, the concept of convenience changes entirely. Everything that isn't grown in a small home garden or pulled from the surrounding deep blue sea must be shipped in by boat or flown over the vast Pacific. There is a quiet, rhythmic quality to the days here that is completely absent in the bustling hubs of the world. It is a place where the history of global industry is physically etched into the earth, but for the citizens, it is simply home. Nauru is the third smallest country in the world, eclipsed only by Vatican City and Monaco. Located just 40 miles south of the equator, it is a raised coral atoll that for decades provided the world with the high-grade phosphate needed for global industrial agriculture. In the 1970s, this small island was, briefly, one of the wealthiest places on Earth. The government invested in everything from luxury hotels to airlines, believing the prosperity would never end. But the resources were finite, and the mining left behind a jagged, lunar-like interior of limestone pinnacles that covers 80% of the landmass. Today, the economy relies on a mix of fishing rights, telecommunications, and regional cooperation agreements. Most of the island's residents live on a narrow, fertile coastal ring, a thin strip of green between the harsh, white interior and the deep, turquoise Pacific. The island is so small that you can walk from one side to the other in under an hour, yet the terrain itself serves as a constant reminder of the rapid shift from extreme wealth to the quiet, modest existence seen today. The population is close-knit, with strong clan traditions that have survived the industrial boom and bust. Because the island is so remote, the sense of community is not just a social preference, it is a necessity for survival. When you live on an island this isolated, your neighbors are your only support system, and the social fabric is woven tight. Unlike a sprawling city where you might never know the person in the next apartment, in Nauru, almost everyone is connected through generations of family ties. I had no idea that a nation could exist where the entire national geography was so fundamentally altered by a single industry that it is still visible from satellite imagery today. That is the reality here. The past is not hidden in books, but is the literal ground beneath their feet. Despite the scars on the land, the people maintain a culture that is deeply tied to the rhythms of the sea. Fishing is not just a hobby, it is a vital source of protein and a central part of the island identity. Every day, the small boats head out into the deep water, testing the current and the horizon, just as they have for centuries before the mines ever arrived. It is a life defined by the horizon, where the outside world feels like a distant abstraction, and the focus remains entirely on the preservation of the local community. Daily life in Nauru revolves around the coastal ring. Most housing consists of modest, single-story structures that are designed to handle the tropical heat and high humidity. Because the center of the island is largely uninhabitable due to the mining legacy, the entire population of 10,000 lives within a few hundred yards of the ocean. This creates a unique atmosphere where the sound of waves is the constant background noise of every home. Transport is remarkably straightforward, there is only one main road that loops the island. If you own a car, you can complete a full circuit in about 20 minutes. For those without vehicles, the island is small enough that walking or cycling is common, though the heat makes midday travel a test of endurance. One of the most striking realities is the food supply. I had no idea that almost every piece of fresh produce on the island must be imported via a weekly freighter or an infrequent flight. Because the soil was depleted by phosphate mining, large-scale agriculture is effectively impossible. This has led to a reliance on canned and processed goods that has become a major public health challenge for the nation. In a major city, you might complain about the price of organic avocados, but in Nauru, the luxury is simply having access to fresh greens at all. The cost of living is dictated by the logistics of the ocean. If the supply ship is delayed by weather, shelves in the small local shops can go bare within days. This fragility of the supply chain is something most of us never have to consider. In London or New York, the supermarket is a constant. In Nauru, the supermarket is a variable dependent on the tides and the arrival of cargo vessels. This dependence has forced a return to traditional fishing as a primary food security measure. Families rely on the catch of the day to supplement what is available in the stores. It is a way of life that demands patience and adaptability. You don't get frustrated by a delivery delay, you adapt your menu to what the ocean provided that morning. This is not a lifestyle of consumption, but one of observation. You learn to read the weather, the sea conditions, and the schedules of the vessels that connect you to the rest of the world. Even electricity and water are precious, with most homes utilizing solar power or rainwater collection to supplement the main grid. Living here requires a level of self-sufficiency that has largely been lost in the modern world. It is a quiet, deliberate way of existence where the focus is on utilizing what is currently available rather than constantly reaching for more. Every home, every kitchen, and every meal is a testament to the fact that people can adapt to almost any environment, provided they have a community to share it with. Work in Nauru is largely centered on the public sector. As the primary employer, the government provides the structure for the economy, overseeing everything from education to the regional cooperation efforts. Because the private sector is small, professional life is often communal and collaborative. Education is highly valued, with the government investing in programs that allow students to travel abroad for specialized training, though many return to help build the local infrastructure. Healthcare, however, presents one of the most significant hurdles. I had no idea that for specialized medical care, residents must often be flown to larger nations like Australia, as the local clinics are equipped only for primary and urgent care. This creates a unique anxiety in the community. When a health crisis happens, it is not just a medical issue, it is a logistical one. Despite these challenges, the sense of purpose is palpable. People work to maintain the island, to keep the schools running, and to ensure that the next generation has the skills to navigate a changing global landscape. The concept of money here is less about accumulation and more about stability. Because the cost of imported goods is so high, families prioritize the essentials. There is a deep, underlying understanding that the island's future depends on the collective effort of its citizens. The education system is focused on both academic achievement and the practical knowledge needed for island life. In the classroom, children are taught about their heritage, the geography of their home, and the critical importance of sustainability. It is a future-oriented society that is acutely aware of its past, trying to balance the needs of the modern world with the limitations of their remote home. The work-life balance in Nauru is, by necessity, tilted toward family and community. Since there are no massive corporate hubs or high-stress, late-night industries, the pace of work is set by the community itself. If there is a funeral or a major community event, the island slows down. This is not seen as inefficiency, but as a necessary part of the social contract. In a world that is obsessed with productivity, Nauru offers a different perspective. It is a place where professional success is often measured by how much you contribute to the stability of the people around you. It is a grounded, human-centric way of viewing labor that stands in stark contrast to the transactional nature of work in most of the developed world. People are not just employees, they are members of a living, breathing network that depends on every individual to keep the system moving forward. Family is the bedrock of Nauruan society. In a country where your neighbors are often your cousins, social life is inseparable from family life. Sunday, in particular, is a day where the entire nation seems to pause. Church services are well attended, serving as the central social hub for the week. It is here that news is shared, relationships are solidified, and the collective spirit of the community is renewed. I had no idea that the social hierarchy in Nauru is still heavily influenced by traditional clan structures, even in the 21st century. These clans dictate responsibilities during community events, from weddings to funerals, ensuring that no one is ever left to face a life transition alone. This is not a culture of the individual, it is a culture of the collective. When a family celebrates, the entire village celebrates. When there is a loss, the entire village grieves. This intensity of connection acts as a safety net that is far stronger than any government program. Children are raised with a deep sense of belonging, and the elders are treated with a level of respect that is rare in more transient, urbanized societies. The island has a way of absorbing people into its rhythm. There is no anonymity here. Everyone knows everyone, which means there is no room for social pretense. If you are struggling, your community knows. If you have plenty, it is expected that you share. This is the unwritten law of the island, and it is what keeps the social fabric from tearing under the weight of the isolation. Traditions are also a key part of maintaining this identity. Whether it is the specific way a fish is prepared for a communal feast or the traditional songs that are passed down through generations, these practices provide a sense of continuity. In a world that is moving faster and faster, Nauru holds on to these anchors. It is a life that is measured in human interactions rather than digital metrics. While the rest of the world is connected by fiber optic cables and social media feeds, the people of Nauru are connected by blood, shared history, and the physical reality of the ground they stand on. It is a simple, profound way to live, and it serves as a quiet reminder of what is actually essential for a fulfilled life. The perception of Nauru from the outside is often clouded by its history. People hear about the phosphate boom and bust, or the political complexities of recent decades, and they form a narrative of a place in decline. But if you walk the streets today, that is not the story you find. What you find is a place that is quietly, stubbornly alive. The reality is that Nauru is not a relic of the past, but a living experiment in adaptation. One of the most surprising truths is that despite the environmental destruction, the people have developed a deep, almost spiritual connection to the land that remains. I had no idea that many residents are actively involved in reforestation projects, trying to reclaim the scarred interior, one plant at a time. It is a slow, generational process, but it is happening. Another misconception is the idea of isolation as a negative. While it is true that the geography presents immense challenges, it also provides a unique freedom. There is no traffic, no industrial pollution, and no rat race. The stress of modern life, the constant noise, the competition, the feeling of being overwhelmed by choice, simply doesn't exist here. For many, this is a form of luxury that is worth more than wealth. The challenges are real, the health issues, the environmental fragility, and the economic dependence, but they are managed with a grace that is hard to find elsewhere. There is a sense of pride in surviving and thriving in a place that the rest of the world largely forgot. The people here aren't waiting for the world to save them, they are building their own future within the limitations they have. They are finding ways to use technology to bridge the gap, they are investing in their youth, and they are leaning into the strength of their community. It is a reminder that development and progress are not the same thing. Nauru might not be developed by the standards of a skyscraper-filled metropolis, but it has a level of social cohesion that many developed cities are currently losing. It is a place that forces you to confront the basics of human existence. What do you need to be happy, and who do you need to be happy with? When you strip away the convenience, the shopping, and the noise, you are left with the people. And in Nauru, that is enough. The island is not just a destination or a statistic, it is a home that is being carefully maintained by the people who know it best. As the sun dips below the horizon, the single road that circles Nauru goes quiet. The freighter in the distance is a reminder of the vast, indifferent ocean that keeps this island both trapped and protected. We often look at places like this and see only what is missing: the lack of infrastructure, the lack of resources, the lack of global access. But to do so is to miss the fundamental reality of the people who live here. They have traded the convenience of the modern world for a life that is defined by the depth of their relationships and the resilience of their spirit. They live on a piece of land that was broken by the world, yet they remain unbroken themselves. The story of Nauru is not a warning about what happens when you lose your wealth, it is a testament to what happens when you find your community. In a world that is becoming increasingly isolated, even in our most crowded cities, there is something profound about a place where you are never truly alone. The island remains, a small, green ring in the middle of the deepest blue, holding 10,000 stories of people who have learned to live with the earth, rather than just on it. The horizon is vast, and the challenges are real, but the rhythm of life continues. There is a quiet beauty in the way they persist, tethered to the tide and to each other. It is a life lived in the present, grounded in the salt air and the simple, daily effort of belonging to a place. In the end, we are all just trying to find our home. And for the people of Nauru, they have already found it. They are home.